It is so great seeing my next guest back, and actually he's going to be taking on Bill Algeo coming up here. UFC Long Island, July 16th. Doesn't get much better than this. It's Billy Q back here on the program. Billy Quarantillo. Billy, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, James. Thanks for having me, brother.
Yeah, always a pleasure, man. And yeah, it's great to see you back. Like I mentioned, it seemed like you got a full camp for this one. When did you find out about the fight?
How long ago? I definitely got a full camp for it. I love when the UFC does that. They give you plenty of time to prepare. So I found out about it probably about a month ago. So I've had, it was like a nine week training camp. And when they actually told me about it, my manager, Jason, told me that it was going to be at the Apex. And at first I was kind of bumming about it. But it quickly changed. Like I heard rumors about it. It was going to be in Tampa, which is where I obviously live. And then I heard Long Island, and that's awesome too. So with fans, Long Island, yeah, we're about 3.5 weeks out. I can't wait.
And was this kind of the right amount of time off, or were you trying to get a fight in there sooner?
No, it was good timing. I would have liked to have fought sooner, but I was dealing with some injuries, just little nagging stuff. Had to get my body right, my mind right, and it's going to turn out to be perfect timing.
What did you learn the most from that fight against Shane Burgos? Tough, gritty fight. I know you've had a lot of time to kind of look back on that. What do you take away from that one?
Yeah, and I noticed you got the 268 poster right behind you, as do I. It's definitely good motivation in my little workout room / studio room.
Mm-hmm.
I learned a ton from it. Shane's one of the best fighters in the world, one of the best featherweight fighters in the world. There's a lot of good things that I like and took from it. And then there's a lot of stuff where I'm like, man, I couldn't, like, why did I do this? Why did I do that? Why did I do this? So it was a great learning experience for me. I know I could, I know I belong in the top 15 in terms of skill set. I didn't put it all together that day, but as a martial artist, I look forward to the next opportunity and taking what I learned from that fight and going into this fight with it.
Bill Algeo, he's a PA guy. Obviously, you're from New York originally. Were you familiar with him even before the UFC? I was curious about that because I know, the East Coast, as far as the regional scene goes, it's pretty tight knit.
It is pretty tight knit. I didn't know much about him. Looking back, like I probably heard his name bounced around a few times. Didn't really get my attention until the Spike Carlyle fight. So if you remember, Spike Carlyle was on probably a 9-fight winning streak, or maybe 6 or 7, at least 7. He was on a big winning streak when I fought him. And I figured out the game plan. I knew I had to wear him down, take him into the later rounds, and try to take him out. And then Bill fought him next, and I watched that. And I wanted to see, if he would do it. And he basically did what I did. So wore him out, took him out, and I was like, man, that was a smart game plan. Maybe I'll see him down the road. Thinking that about Bill. And here we are.
And how do you feel like you match up against him in this fight? Obviously, I think a lot of people remember Bill actually from his fight on Contender Series, which was one of the best we've seen against Brendan Loughnane.
Yeah, that was a great fight. I went back and watched that. I did remember that fight. Obviously, it was, I think, a couple weeks before my fight on the Contender Series, and it was best known for Dana White getting pissed at the end about him about Brandon going for the takedown. I definitely remember going into my fight, and I'm like, I'm not taking any shots at this. My Contender Series fight, I knew we were going to stand and bang, just because that's what it seemed like they wanted to see. So I remember him from that as well. Went back and watched him. Didn't really remember that was him. But since I've gotten the fight, I've gotten a chance to watch all of his UFC fights, a bunch of ones from before the UFC. So we know what we're getting when July 16 hits.
Training camp, anything different for this one, or usual cast of characters? Your buddy Steamroller Favola, who you mainly getting to work with?
Yeah, that was I just got back from a trip back in Long Island. Got a chance to train with Favola, who, we've been training partners for years now. Even though he lives in Long Island, we go back and forth. He comes to Tampa, I come to Long Island. Getting good looks with everyone there. Aljamain Sterling was there. He taught a couple classes. Marab was there. They got a few young guys. Dennis Bazooka, Charlie, and then Nas, who are all fighting on the Contender Series. So they just had a bunch of good guys. I brought one of my main teammates, Will Rentz, there, who is also fighting in the CFFC coming up. This next one they got coming up, it's actually a couple days before my fight. So those were my training partners for that week. Will Rentz has been a great training partner. My head coach, Matt Arroyo, my striking coach, Dan Rawlings. It's all pretty much the same cast that we've had, but it was great getting different looks in Long Island. And I took a lot of that stuff back. Getting a chance to be with Ray Longo and him kind of giving me some tips and pointers. Taking that back to Tampa, and just using it and growing as a fighter every day.
Also saw you got to train with Jamahal Hill, fellow Contender Series alum. How was that?
Yes, yeah, Jamahal Hill. I don't know. I know you talked to him. I don't know if you talked to him after, if he told you what happened, but he was having a hard time catching his flight. He went to the wrong airport, ended up staying at my house for a couple nights, and it was awesome. It was awesome to have him. He's a very intelligent fighter, and the way he looks at fighting and the way he really just approaches, the fight game and how knowledgeable he is. Even though he's, twice the size of me, he showed me a lot of really cool stuff, and we got some really good work in too. We sparred a bunch and did jiu-jitsu and had a good few days of training.
Yeah, I didn't hear that story, so that's crazy. But I was asking, it's funny, like when we did the interview, I knew that you guys had trained together, so I brought it up, and I'm like, Jamahal, like, what's the connection? How do you know Billy? And I forgot that both of you were on Contender Series, and so Jamahal does one of these, like, you really don't know, like one of these, and like kind of giving me the gears, and I'm like, oh yeah, Contender Series, my bad. So yeah, he mentioned that, but Jamal's great, and one of those fighters, man, that just does things a little bit differently, like stuff like his movement. He's really fun to watch, and I'm really excited for that fight with Thiago Santos he has coming up. So that should be good. But
that's going to be a great fight. And yeah, he coined it. I don't know if he told you, the Contender Series GOAT Week. Me, him, and a few of the other guys that were on there, winning the fights, and all of us getting contracts. So it was really cool.
That's awesome. Your corner, I'm assuming, be the same. Matt Arroyo. Will Frivola be in your corner too? Who's going to be there with you?
Yeah, Matt Frivola is going to be in my corner as well. He's super excited. Obviously, it's in Long Island. When we found out it was in Long Island, he tried to get on it, but they didn't know it was in Long Island when they booked the card. So unfortunately, there's not any other New York fighters. Myself and Shane Burgos, I think, are the only two. I don't know if there's any other ones, but I'll have Long Island in my corner. We're all going to eat the night before, I'm sure, me and like all the Long Island boys. So, I'm bringing that spirit, that lost spirit, in the cage with me.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense, because I couldn't figure out, and it's a great main event, but why Brian Ortega and Yair Rodriguez is in New York or Long Island of all places, when Texas, Mexico, like there's so many other possibilities they could have put that fight on, but at least you guys are getting a really solid main event there, so that's really cool too. Speaking of which, who do you favor in that fight? That's going to be an interesting one.
That's a good fight. I'm not really sure about who's going to win that fight. And there's also a couple other featherweights on this card. And I'm looking at this card like I want to go out there and be the best featherweight on this card. So Ortega, Yair, then there's Burgos, and he's fighting Jordan. And then Herbert Burns is fighting too. He was a potential opponent. We had a contract. That's what I'm looking at this fight. I'm trying to go out there and be the best featherweight and make a statement. Right now we're on the prelims, so they know what I'm going to do. They know all my fights have been pretty exciting so far, and I'm going to amp it up even more so and make sure they remember that this prelim fight's going to be out of control.
How's this fight playing out on July 16th? How do you see it going down?
No matter what it takes, just getting my hand raised. I'm at a point, kind of a point in my career, 4-2 in the UFC. Being 5-2 or 4-3 is a huge difference, and I want to be fighting the big names. I want people to put Billy Quarantillo in the mix with the top guys. These Brian Ortegas and the Yair Rodriguez's, and Max Holloways and Volkanowski's and that group, the Kelvin Caters, Josh Emmett. So I need to get past Bill Algeo and then look for a huge fight at the end of the year. But I'm not even thinking about that now. It's, all eyes on Long Island and all eyes on Bill Algeo.
Now, Billy, you're one of the big stars on MMA Twitter yourself, Adrian Yanez, Terrence McKinney. There's so many out there, but one of the things I love is how interactive you are. So you actually have some fan questions. I've got them here. I'm going to read them. I will start with the first one from Josh Boswell. He says, how many 7-year-old Francis Ngannou's do you think you could take before you got overwhelmed?
7-year-old Francis Ngannou's, that's what it is?
Yeah, how many 7-year-old Francis Ngannou's?
Okay, well, first, James, these questions were for you. I wanted them to ask you these questions.
Okay.
But I will answer this one. It's just I don't know if I can actually. I don't know if I can because I can't like consciously beat up a bunch of 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
But if it was like I don't know a version where I could, there I would definitely be able to take a bunch of them out. I don't know the exact number, like a handful of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd probably have to stop because the thought of like hitting kids, I mean, it's just so messed up.
For sure.
So,
Okay, we'll answer them together just to make this more fun.
yeah, let's see what
so,
you
so,
say,
so,
Jake.
so for me, how many 7-year-olds? Probably just one. Like I don't fight. I think I could hold my own, but I bet a 7-year-old Francis Ngannou would be the same size as me if I had to guess, right? Just how big that guy is. So I'm about 6 feet tall. If you haven't seen me in person, 6 feet, 200 pounds around there, which does surprise people. A lot of people think I'm a lot smaller. But yeah, I would just say one. We'll go there. Have I bought stock in Prediction Strike? I have not. No, I need to look into that a little bit more. I'm a little careful on but I do own some crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum. I think I bought a Doge back in the day, which is not doing so good. But what are you gonna do?
I'm also at that point. What you're talking about is I got some crypto. I'm not, I'm obviously a little bit upset that it's gone down so much recently, but I'm going to hold on to it for the long run and, invest a little bit here and there still in it. But I'm not on any of those stocks or any of those things. I'm not taking stock in Billy Q. Obviously, in my real self, I'm investing everything into it, but I don't really get that yet.
What fight are you looking forward to the most, either official or not official? For me, it would be, and it's not official, would be John Jones and Stipe Miocic if it ever ends up happening. That has got to be near the top of the list for me. What about you?
Yeah, that one's going to be a great one. I think that would probably be my choice too. But real fights, man, obviously the Max Holloway versus Volkanowski. I know we already touched on it, but that's just, man, they've had two such great fights, and it's in my division. So I'm going to go Volk Holloway 3.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great one too. And then if you could only eat one thing for the rest of your life, no matter what it is, stay as fit as you want, who would it be? This is from Kevy Bones. I would pick, there's so much good food out there. Probably pizza. If I knew it was healthy and I could eat it all the time, of course I'd go with pizza. What about you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. At first when they mentioned that, I thought of it as like I still need to stay in shape. So if that was the case where like I can only eat one thing, it'd probably be like some kind of like steak or some kind of
that
protein.
Would be my answer too. Yeah.
Yeah, probably like a steak. But yeah, man, probably like like pasta or something like that. But again, it's hard to think of food because imagine just eating only one thing all the time. Like, man, your body would get messed up. So, maybe like a pasta or pizza or something delicious like that.
Now, my buddy Clint McLean from the Die Hard MMA podcast says, ask me what my favorite submission is, and I said Submission Radio because I love those guys; they're good buddies of mine. But I'll give him a proper answer. Standing inverted triangle would be my favorite submission. Toby Amada did that on Jorge Masvidal back in Bellator. There's been a few others that have done it, so that's probably my favorite because it's so rare. That would be my favorite submission. What's your favorite submission?
Hold on. So standing inverted triangle.
Yeah. So like upside down triangle choke hold. Like go watch. Have you ever seen Toby Amada, George Masvidal, and Bellator?
No, I might have to watch
Google
it.
that. That's one of the craziest submissions of all time.
Masvidal was on top, like standing.
No, sorry. Toby Amada was on top of Masvidal and choked him out. Like he was like basically on his back and put the submission in and choked him out.
Oh, okay, from his back. Okay, like a back triangle type deal. I would go triangle choke. I made my amateur career off of triangle choking people. I did it all the time in my fights. Basically my style was just go out there, throw as hard as I could. If I got taken down, I didn't care because I had good jiu-jitsu, especially back then when, people didn't really know jiu-jitsu that well. And I would that'd be my go-to is triangle choke. I would triangle all day.
Two more quick ones, and we'll get you out of here. First and foremost, Calvin Kattar, Josh Emmett happened on the weekend. A lot of people feeling like maybe that decision should have gone the other way. How did you score that fight?
It was interesting. I didn't judge it round by round. I knew it was super close going into the 5th round. I had a feeling Emmett was going to get it just because when he came forward with some of his hooks, they seemed like they rocked Kattar a little bit more. And he was, landing the bigger punches. However, Cater's boxing seemed sharper to me. You know what I mean? His straight punches down the middle, he was landing them. So it really was one of those fights that could have went either way. It sucks that there has to be a loser, and one person probably didn't. Kattar probably didn't get his win. Obviously his win bonus. I think he did get fight of the night though, so he still got $50K. But Yeah, it was one of those fights. It was so close to call. I wasn't going to be mad either way.
Last question, most important one. Canadian, got to get a hockey question in. You feeling optimistic about the Sabres in the offseason? I think they're going to, it's got to turn around eventually for them, right?
Yeah, well, I've actually kind of stayed away from hockey. I grew up playing it and all that. You know, people have heard my story playing hockey and, you know, throughout high school and everything. But right now it's cool seeing all the Lightning, Lightning, they won the last
bandwagon jumper. I guess they're in the finals,
no,
right?
no, listen. I said it's cool. It's cool watching them do their thing. But at the same time, I think a reason why I don't follow it and like, I don't even like I've gone to one Lightning game this year because one of my buddies goes to all the games. But I think I've been like resisting hockey because I'm seeing them in all their glory, and the Sabres have had so many like bad years. But I'm always optimistic. I'm hoping for the best. Hopefully they get off to a good start next year, and I'll be tuning in. I know the NHL is on ESPN Plus a lot more, which I really like. So I'll definitely be. I'm optimistic. I'm really optimistic for the Buffalo Bills, but Sabres too. Let's go Buffalo.
Billy, thanks for doing this. Any sponsors, social media you want to plug? I'll give you the last word.
No, James, but I got a last question for you.
Yeah.
You're Canadian. What do you think of the new Drake album? I've given it a listen. I'm catching on to it. Like it's a little bumpy. It'll get you going.
Haven't listened to it yet. Honestly, I got 2 kids, man. I don't have time to listen to albums. I'm changing diapers and taking my kid to jujitsu, so I got a lot going on. But when I do listen to it, I will let you know.
Okay, I got my first boy on the way, so I'm excited to experience everything after the fight, though. So have fighting and then baby September 2nd-ish. I'm super excited, man. I can't wait.